Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the 5 different options you have when it comes time to do the stonework on your future home. So stay tuned. Well, all right, today we're going to talk about stonework, about using stone on your future home, whether or not you should, and the 5 different options you have when you're thinking about doing that. And I guess I should start out with saying that stonework is an unbelievably beautiful form of construction. In my opinion, when it gets down to it, it probably ranks as number 1. And if it doesn't rank as number 1, the addition of stonework to any other form of construction, whether or not you're thinking of building a log cabin or you're building timber frame or even a standard stick-built construction, or perhaps a solid stone home, obviously. But when it comes time to doing that, nothing you can do will add more beauty, will move your construction to a higher level of aesthetic overwhelm than what you can with stonework. And I learned this fairly early on in my life. The first stone project that I ever worked on was by myself. It was building a little bit of stonework, the foundation for my future home. And it came out pretty darn disappointing, but I learned a respect for what it had to bring to the table. For one thing, it was incredibly inexpensive because I did the stonework myself. I gathered stone for free, and the only thing I had to pay for was the mortar. So stonework can be inexpensive when you learn how to do it yourself and you do the work yourself. If you're paying a stonemason, that's a different equation, and the meter tends to run fairly fast. But just prior to my becoming a builder myself, I had the great fortune of working for a firm where probably the greatest stonemason of all time, Dan Smith, was working, and I was able to observe him, watch him, and learn all of his secrets from him. And it took me years to do that. But anyway, when I started my own company, I brought in Dan Smith as well as many other fine masons over the years. And for a long time, and I think it probably still hold true, is that I was the only Class A home builder who had a full-time team of stonemasons devoted to just stonework. And I was able to keep 3 to 4 men busy year-round doing the stone, primarily for just my own projects, but also I would sub them out to other individuals who were looking for the highest caliber of stonework possible. And I was even paid multiple times by other stone masonry firms to come in and do some consulting for them in order to bring the level of their stonework up to the highest level possible. And a lot of times when clients or prospective clients have come out to the homes that I built, they're stunned. They're just overwhelmed with how beautiful the home is, and want to know really what's going on. What am I looking at? Why does this look so much better than what I've been seeing in the past? And I do a brief explanation on what quality stonework, what stone laid in the best possible way can bring to your home. And so it's a proven factor, but a lot of people without this experience of hands-on, of being directly in front of and seeing beautiful stonework in person, you don't have as quite a big of a grasp of appreciation for it and what it can bring to your home. So that's why I wanted to go through the 5 different options for you to consider when it comes time for you to build your home. What path should you do? And you should really think this through, the pros and cons of each, and what you're going to end up with in the future. And so I've got my little trusty pad here with the 5 different options for you to consider. And the first one is don't use stonework. And why would you not use stonework? Well, typically the people who don't use stonework are the people where how much does it cost is the first question they ask. If you're not willing to contribute to the actual hands-on construction of your home, and your cost is an extreme problem, then you should really consider not using stone at all. And the options for that, in the most extreme case I can think of, would be a log cabin. You almost expect to see a stone foundation and a stone chimney on a log cabin. But you can do a poured concrete foundation or a cinder block foundation that's parged over with cement. Try to keep your foundation low, like 8 to 12 inches sticking above the ground, so it's not that visible, it's not that noticeable. And you try to pigment your poured concrete or your parging of your cinder blocks to kind of match the chinking, and it sort of all blends, and you don't really kind of notice it that bad. When it comes time to do the chimney, you can also do a Parge chimney. Or some kind of parging mean you're troweling over a cement or a mortar over top of the cinder blocks in order to give, I wouldn't call it stucco, but a more refined finish than what, say, a stucco finish would be. And it's not too bad. Another option, a little bit upgraded from that, would be to do a brick foundation and or a brick chimney. And they're obviously better than what than what a parged cement one would be. I would encourage you to try to find handcrafted brick if you can do that, at least so that it looks like it's handmade or vintage, old. And also try to make sure and do a Flemish bond pattern if that's the way you go. Don't do a brick rancher modern type pattern with the brickwork of Flemish bond. Look it up and you can see what it is. It's not that hard to do, but it really makes a difference by just adding one little tweak to the pattern of your brickwork. The second one is the use of faux stone, where there's a lot of products nowadays that try to speed up the process of stonework, of making it so that anybody that's never laid one before, all they got to do is maybe peel and stick it onto the house, or to trowel on little thin slabs that are all pre-cut with a preset pattern that goes up on your house. Personally, if it's my recommendation to you, if you're sitting here listening to me, please hear me on this. Don't use it. Go with option one and don't use stone at all. It's always better to use a real product, particularly on the outside of your home where the elements are in place. For you to use the real thing, to use real stone. So if you're kind of thinking along the lines of I want stone, but I don't want to use the real stone because I'm afraid it's going to cost too much, then maybe drop that and move on back to don't do any stone at all. Okay, the third option I have is that there's a method of laying stone called the slip form method. And it's basically the idea of building forms, of building a two-sided form that actually, as you're constructing the home, you slide the form up one layer at a time until you finish the construction of, say, the siding on your exterior of your home. Or I suppose you can build a chimney using the slip form method as well. It's easy to do a foundation because it's down on the ground. And basically what it is that you put a form in place. You go to all the trouble to build all of this form work, and then you start laying stone. And basically you lay the stone in, and then you throw in a lot of cement in order to bond it all together. And then once you get it filled up, you pull it off. And a lot of people imagine that when you pull it off, it's going to be absolutely wonderful, breathtaking stonework. And in reality, it looks pretty bad, something similar to this photograph right here. Now, I don't want to ding dong slip form method construction any more than I have to. My first experience with it was in reading the books and seeing the photographs of Helen and Scott Nearing. If you're an individual who's thinking of doing some homesteading or self-reliance, self-sufficiency, I highly recommend their books. They were wonderful people that lived over 100 years old back in the 20th century, not that long ago. And they built their own home. They hand dug their own pond using wheelbarrows and shovels and a lot of free help. And they built their home out of slip form construction. And I believe they They did this because that's what they knew, and B, that's the kind of rock they had was basically just rubble, and B, they had a lot of help, a lot of free help that came in and helped them build their home. My experience with slip form construction is it's more labor intensive than laying stone the correct way. B, you end up with a far less appealing project once you get finished with it. C, you end up using a lot more mortar than you would using regular stonemasonry techniques and procedures. And finally, I've heard it said from a lot of people that when it comes to strength, that a solid concrete wall would be stronger than a slip form method of building stonework. That there's only strength that comes from a slip form stone wall is the mortar. If you remove the mortar all of a sudden from a slip form built home, the house would basically crash in the ground, because none of the stone are laid structurally in place. They're glued into place in this mixture, and so the mixture is actually stronger than the stonework. And so by adding stonework to it and pulling mixture out of it, not making it a solid stone structure, it's actually a weaker structure than what's involved. And it's a shame, because I've seen photographs and videos of individuals who use the slip form method, and will show you something absolutely beautiful. But I can tell you that won't be your result. That very likely, I wouldn't say it's staged, but nonetheless, someone is putting out a tremendous amount of effort in order to make it look nice, and that same effort used just in a normal masonry method would end up with a better product, use less materials, and give you a better result. So the next one you could do is the choice between using lousy stone building methods and then laying stone in the historic best method that you possibly can. Now, when I say lousy method, and that is, it's the method that I see, unfortunately, many of the so-called stonemasons of today, more than half of them that claim to be stonemasons, but they're not really stonemasons. They lay cinder blocks, they lay brick, they'll do the glue-on method, and they'll do this type of method. And it's basically a random method form of stonework, and that is that you pick a stone up and you set it on the work that you've already created it. You get it so it's more or less stable, and then you mud it in place to glue it in place, and then you find another one in order to fill the hole, and you end up with basically a random pattern. And it's more structural. It's definitely by far better than slip form method, but the end result is just not anywhere near as pretty as what true quality stonework is. And what true stonework is, and that would be your next option, would be to lay that. So, and that is nice stone that's designed to work in your home. How do you tell a good stone? Well, the Stonemason Academy, it's about 10 hours of me showing you in video form how to find the right stone, and how to lay the stone, and how to make it as attractive as possible, and in the various applications you can in your future home where you can use it, and how it goes there. And basically it is a horizontal pattern, much like you would find in nature, much like your eye and your mind expect to see stonework, is in a horizontal pair, put down in layers, and that it is laid structurally, and the fact that every stone is put into place and it is stable and sound when you put it into place, and the mortar is there to some degree to bind the stones together. Obviously that happens in the process. But it's also to fill in the little cracks and gaps between each stone in order to make it visually more attractive. It's more like a picture frame is around a piece of art. And it is also a way to keep the weather and any kind of infestation, bugs or snakes or whatever else, out of entering your home. And so the lay the stone the proper way is beyond a doubt your best method to go with. Yes, in order to find a stonemason that knows how to build it properly can be a challenge, but they're out there. There are some extremely talented stonemasons out there in the world. You just need to relay to them the basic instructions about how to do it, how you would view it done properly, how it would apply best to your particular project, and you'll end up with it. But I would highly encourage you, if you're considering doing any hands-on work on your home, to undertake the stonework yourself. It is a little bit physically hard, and there is a learning curve to it. But basically, I promise you, and I guarantee you that if you go through the entire Stonemason Academy course, by the end of it, you'll be able to lay stone as good as any stonemason out there, and very likely better than any stonemason, or the majority of stonemasons. I don't want to insult all stonemasons here, please. I love stonemasons. I consider myself a bit of a stonemason myself. But by undertaking it yourself, you'll gain the pleasure of building your home, and you will also save yourself a tremendous amount of time. Stonemasons tend to be one of the higher cost per hour individuals when it comes time to hire the sub out to work on your home. Probably electricians and plumbers top out that hourly fee, but stonemasons come right in there, whereas carpentry and painters tend to be way down the ladder. So if you can learn the skill of stonemasonry and spare yourself from doing that, it works in well with the work, and it also works in well with the construction process. If you're going to undertake all the carpentry, everybody's waiting on you, and it's a lot of carpentry in building a house. If you're undertaking the painting, yeah, a lot of people will do that, and it's very doable to do. But stonemasonry is one of those things where you can actually move into the house and continue doing the stonework after it gets done. There's not a whole lot of people standing around and waiting for the stonemason to finish, and so that they can proceed with their work. And then the final option that I would offer you for doing that is just to use quality stone sparingly. You don't have to do an addition off your home out of stone. You don't have to build your chimney out of stone. You don't have to build your foundation out of stone. But one way that you can bring stone into the enjoyment of your property, a simple, easy project or something, number one on my list is to do the stone fireplace front. And that by doing that, you ought to be able to do it yourself, hands-on, by following my instructions. That you should be able to do it in a week's time. You can do this. You can build your stone fireplace before you even build your house. If you're daydreaming or you're drawing the plans, you can, where you're living right now, easily, well, not easily, but you can, in your spare time, pre-build the stone fireplace for yourself. And you can enjoy it. You can take your time. You can do something really finely crafted. And in less than a day's time, probably a half a day time, you can take the stone fireplace and put it in place on your future home. You don't have to worry about how you're going to afford it or pay for it when the time comes, or be able to bring someone in. You'll be able to easily put it up in place. When you build your own stone fireplace, people will come in, and that will be the centerpiece of your entire home. People will tend to migrate right toward it. You'll have all kinds of bragging rights with regard to that stone fireplace. You'll take a great deal of pride in it. You'll gather around it during the wintertime and enjoy the fires. And one of the little insights that I can give you is that I tend to gather stone wherever I go. If I'm taking a road trip or a vacation, or I'm going to go see friends, or wherever, if I tend to keep an eye out for rocks. And if I find myself a nice stone wherever I'm at, I tend to go ahead and bring it on home. And by the time you get yourself, maybe 30 to 50 different stones of decent size, imagine a shoebox when you're looking for them. That's what you're really looking for, is to gather it up. And then when it comes time you build your fireplace, you have yourself like a little memory wall. Not only will you enjoy the fire in the fireplace and the beauty of what you built, but also the memories of all the places you went in order to gather all these stones. It's a great thing. The second project you could consider building is stone columns on your driveway. When people arrive at your home, they pull off the main road, they drive into the home that you're going to build, and if they pass by two finely crafted stone columns, they would take you about a week each to build, maybe a little bit longer. It all depends upon your speed and the stone you're working with, and the design of the stone project. People will gain this great appreciation. They will know that they are coming to something of value. I've heard it said by real estate agents that people will know whether or not they're going to buy your home by the time they park their car. So it gains an impression of it. If they arrive at your home and you have a beautiful, attractive elevation facing everyone, chances are you've sold your home, or at least you've really impressed whoever's coming to visit you. So those are two easy projects that you can undertake to do that. And that's what I did in the Stonemason Academy, is that I went through all of the information that I need to share with you in order to how to properly lay stone and use it throughout your house. But then I step by step show you how to build a stone fireplace of your own and stone columns. And by the way, I'd like to share with you one image that was just sent to you from someone who went through the Stonemason Academy, and they've started building their stone fireplace. I wish I had a finished one, because clearly this man is on his way to building a really precious fireplace for his log cabin. So that's about it for today. So let me quickly go through the 5 different options for using stone on your future home. Think through them. Make a decision one way or the other. Don't go halfway on anything, but here's your options. First one, don't use it. Use some other option for your foundation other than stone and your chimney. Don't use faux stone. Please don't do that. If you're considering using fake stone, glue-on stone on your house in any capacity, go back to don't use it. Number 3 is the slip form method. Don't consider it. If you're considering it, it's probably because you're questioning whether or not you have the capacity, the capability to build fine stonework. And I'm here to tell you, you do. You can do tremendous stonework. I swear, take the course, and within a week's time, people will be asking you whether or not you'll do stonework on their home. It's an extremely satisfying, slow-paced form of work. It's a tremendous thing, and the world could use more stonemasons. So I hope you'll consider that. The next step is lousy stone versus real stone. There's no reason to do it lousy. The cost of the Stonemason Academy is so inexpensive, and compared to what you get out of it, that consider doing really nice stone if you're going to do stone at all. And then number 5 was to use stone sparingly, and seriously consider that if budget concerns are yours enough that you're considering doing it lousy, or the slip form, or fake stone, or whatever else, consider at least adding some beautiful stone to your home. I have a problem with stone, and the problem I have is that I'm addicted to it. And that is that it doesn't seem like I can build a house without it, and I tend to go way overboard with stone. But it's always blessed me greatly. I get so much satisfaction from being around true stonework. It connects us to the earth. We want to build with wood. It seems to be a natural tendency for us to want to build timber framing or log, but everybody wants to go hug a tree. But I'm telling you to go hug a rock. Go hug a boulder. They are beautiful structures. Go see a stone home. See what it can bring to your future home, and consider using it. And I hope I didn't ramble on too much today, but I'm a stone enthusiast, and I want to make sure that your home is built wonderful. I have full confidence in you, anybody that's listening to this video right now, that you can build an amazing home, a better home than I've ever built my whole life. And that's my goal, is to try to help you get there without making too many costly mistakes along the line, and also just to let you know how to do that. I've done my best throughout my career to try to focus on always making my projects the next one better than the last one, and make, rather than doing a volume of homes, rather to do homes of highest quality possible. And also, I bring to the table that before I was a home builder, I built homes. I built my own homes trying to figure out what the heck I was doing. And so I know what it's like to be an owner builder who has no experience going forward. And I try to relate them in all my courses that I do. And I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, thank you here. I'll wrap up. Thank you much for joining me here on YouTube. Thank you for your likes and your shares and your positive comments. And I really appreciate all y'all's support. Come see us over at handmadehouses.com. There's a lot of videos. There's a lot of wonderful photographs over there too. You learn a lot in doing beautiful work by looking at the beautiful work of others. If you want to become an artist, you study the masters, and there are a lot of extremely fine examples out there. So you learn a lot from photographs. Come on over to Handmade Houses and take a look at them. And that's it for this week. I'll see you again here next week on Handmade House TV. Bye now.